Hiss, hiss. That's what I get for a kiss? Why not slap my face? Why not split my lip? If you won't have me, stab me, because I ain't here no more. So the tune changes every time I do that. I gotta work out the musical accompaniment. Warbling and scattered, the words came out like a sacred spell. Then he launched into Amazing Grace, slithered in the back seat, and punched down the locks. The reporter caught Tiny Jake while he was packing up his cymbals, a doobie stuck in his lips. "Excuse me," the reporter said, "what was that?" Tiny Jake glared at her. It was the first time anyone had spoken to him at the driveway. "Can you tell me about the music? How long have you been playing here, and why?" He loaded the rest of the drum set into the flatbed as she repeated her questions. The presence of her voice felt profane. He climbed into his truck and started the engine, but she stood in his way with both hands up like a traffic cop. A pushy, bitchy move that kind of turned him on. He rolled down his window. "It's just our thing. Ain't nothing to say. Come play. That's it." "How'd you two start up?" she asked. "Ask him," he said, nodding to the decrepit Skylark's back seat, the stench in the sealed chamber palpable a few yards away. "Werewolf here comes out with the moon and sings to his woman. I just play drums." When Tiny Jake came by the next night, he had to lay on the horn to part the crowd. The street was stopped up, the sidewalks overrun with folding chairs and blankets. People chugged cans of beer, tossed footballs, smoked cigarettes, laughed on cell phones, scratched dogs, threw garbage in bushes, tickled kids. Combating subwoofers birthed wet, heavy bass lines. The aroma of fried chicken mingled with the night's mildewed heat. Some kind of fucking picnic, he thought. Some kind of disrespect. The driveway was lit up like a car dealership, stuffed with people and hot. Reporters encircled him as he stepped onto the street, capturing exclusive shots of his raised middle finger. "Shit hogs," he whispered, then pulled a snare out of his truck bed and set it up on the driveway. He started back to the truck, but the rest of his drums were already floating toward him, portaged by a band of 12-year-old boys. Somebody handed him a Corona. He heard Teddy Pendergrass on the sound system, watched an acrobatic, one-handed football reception. The journalist receded. He cracked open the beer and watched a Chinese girl in a tank top blow him a kiss. Suddenly, it was the best day he'd had in years. A fat slit of moonlight washed in from the east, creeping over portable dumpsters and decimated homes, water-sunk land. The crowd hushed. 10 minutes slugged by. Tiny Jake tightened his skins and finished his beer and wondered what his wife was doing. He'd last seen her 3 months ago from under a bar stool, high heels kicking aside beer cans and stomping toward the exit, prattling on about Vancouver. He couldn't really remember. It might have been Montreal. He'd been in a bind then, 8 sheets to the wind and then some, drowned in Jack Daniels' rhythm off for weeks. He looked over the truck. Technically, half of it was still hers. Insurance past due, and a leaky transmission, but there when you needed it most. Kind of like Werewolf, he thought, sticking around. The crowd murmured. Network engineers repositioned satellite uplinks. A girl ran up to the Skylark and tapped her finger on the windshield. Then a crash in the back, a woman's oof. Werewolf's fez bopping over a field of craned heads. "I smell Carnegie Hall tonight," Werewolf called. "Where you kitty cats been all my life?" He lurched down a rapidly opening corridor toward the car, postured like a crunched telephone pole and groping. When he got to the Skylark, he pulled a bottle of Uncle Joe's vodka from his pants, uncapped it, and chugged. Then he sneezed into his hand and parked his caboose on the hood. "So many of you came out shit. Feels like I should ask if you got any requests." Utter silence. Responding felt wrong. They didn't know his repertoire, his range, how serious he was. The quiet held for a moment, until a sloshed insurance adjuster suggested "When the Levee Breaks," Led Zeppelin in C minor. "Gotta be an asshole to ask for that one," Werewolf said, "but it's a nice tune. Used to hear it on the radio all the time out in San Fran. We'll lose the power chords." "Maestro?" Tiny Jake put the drumstick to head in the approximate pace of the one Led Zeppelin song he knew from his wife playing it all the time, "Going to California," until he realized the song didn't have much of anything for a drum beat and was too slow for Werewolf's vibe. He threw it all out and went free flow like usual, the line coming out cresting and punchy, with long gaps for improvisation. He worked the cymbals over easy, toe-tapped the kick, closed his eyes, and felt Werewolf sipping his vodka and unloading melody. The whole street cottoned to it, he realized later when he saw the video and the crowd sobbing to Werewolf's undone lyrics, the cameras flashing like a swarm of lightning bugs, the music holding over everything but a growling dog somewhere. Wolf hummed through the parts he didn't know, and the lyrics he remembered he didn't go buck nasty on. Didn't push them down to empty. The song came together stark and broken, mucked up like a pig pen, fitting the souls of New Orleans snug as new socks. Yeah.